What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode of the 1 Second of Strength podcast. I'm grateful you're here. Grateful you're spending a couple of your valuable seconds with me. This episode, my daughter's not going to like it. Probably not. But I'm grateful you're here. My daughter told me the other day, she's like, hey, I just listened to one of your podcasts. And she's been listening to them. I think maybe she just downloaded a podcast app. And so now she has access to me, and she doesn't get enough teaching from me, I guess, in real life. So she's going to podcast land as well. But anyway, if you're listening, my beautiful daughter, I love you. And to everyone else out there, share this with your kids. Share this with someone else. There's really no other way that the podcast gets spread to other people unless you share it. And if you leave a rating and review for the show. So if you could go leave a 5-star rating, I always appreciate that. And anyway, let's rock and roll. So today's episode, I don't know that my daughter's going to like, to be honest, because it's going to be about her and a conversation that she and I had just yesterday. But she started her dance class back up, and they were doing all these dances. And the next day she's like, I am so sore. And the next day she's like, I'm even more sore. I can barely move. And I said, well, you need to stretch. And she's like, no, stretching hurts. Why would I do that? And I said, because like thousands of years of science say that stretching helps your muscles. Like, why are you going against science? And she just would not have it. And so multiple times that day, she was like, why are you always right? Why are you always right? And my wife always says the same. Why are you always right? Why are you always right? And the reality is this. There is a reason why parents are right a lot of the time. And it's because we've been wrong a lot of times. Like, that is 100% the reason. And I think that kids just don't realize that. Like, we have a lot of life experience. And so what happens is that wisdom isn't intelligence. Like, wisdom doesn't mean that you're just like books. Some people are. I'm not a super smart guy. Did not, I don't know, be average at a state university. Like, I was, average at best in school. Like, I'm not super smart, but I've experienced a lot of life. And the reality is wisdom isn't gained through school or these things, although you do learn, but it's really gained through experience. It's learned through failures. And parents, unfortunately, have just lived a lot more life. And so we've experienced a lot more failures, and we know the kind of the pitfalls and the ups and downs. And so to my beautiful daughter and to all the teenagers out there, like, parents aren't just like trying to be overbearing to you. We've just seen a lot, and we know the risks and we know the downfall. The problem is this, parents, this is for you. We share our expertise in really bad ways, and those really bad ways feel overbearing, and they feel like a demand, and they feel like you can't do this, you can't do this. It feels very heavy-handed. And the reality is that what we need to understand as parents is that teenagers are in this mode of adolescence, which is the actual separation from them and us. Like that's natural life, is that they are trying to separate themselves from the nest, right? Like, they need to learn to fly on their own. And so we come at them with telling them what to do, where teenagers are going like, I am my own person and my own identity, and now you're telling me who I have to be and who I have to become. And so it creates this choke point with our kids that is really, really, really difficult. And so we need to be careful, parents, in our approach to helping our kids, because it isn't just tell them what to do, even though we've had that experience, right? Like, they need to learn a little bit on their own. And so one of the ways to do that, I'm going to share in this episode a couple ways for parents to make a little shift in how we parent, but I'm also going to share a little bit of mindset shift teenagers. This is kind of the wisdom advice piece with you that you can learn or adjust with your parents, right? And so parents, first, it's just we want to share the failure with our kids, not just the rule, right? I think that sometimes we're like, don't do that. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. But what if we made a shift and you're like, when I was your age, I I made this mistake and it did this and this and this and this. So it's up to you how you approach this. But from my experience and the mess ups that I made when I was little, like it wasn't advantageous for me to do that, right? Or whatever. Like there's a way to do that. So number one, share the failure, not just the rule. And the second piece is know when to share your experience and teach when it's safe. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way, unfortunately. And so we can put guardrails, we can do what we need to do to kind of protect and help our kids. That's our job as parents. Like his dad's like, that's my job. I'm a protector, right? Like I need to protect. And our moms are like, we need to guide, we need to help, we need to support. And so we want to put like guardrails in place, but sometimes we need to let our kids fail. Sometimes we need to let them make those mistakes and then come back in on the backside and not, I told you so, but help them learn, help them grow from it, help them understand that. And one third thing is teaching moments need to be thought through, right? In the moment of struggle, in the moment of difficulty, that's not always the moment to teach. That might be the moment to love, to support, to help your kid, right? To listen. Like those are the moments that are really important. And the teaching might be a little bit after, right? I heard a quote the other day that was super, super valuable. It said, don't give your kids a lecture when what they really need is a hug, right? I'm going to say that again. Don't give your kids a lecture when what they really need is a hug. And I think that sometimes I know I do that. So think through that. Do they need a hug or do they need a lecture? The lecture can come, the lesson can come, but in the moment they need the comfort, they need the love, they need to feel safe in that moment. So parents, those two things for you. For teenagers, a couple things. Number one, I want you to sometimes make a shift from ego to efficiency, right? Like sometimes the fastest path to wisdom is listening, not doing, right? And I think that sometimes we just think, nope, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to listen to my parents. I'm not going to. But the reality is that most of the time they're coming from experience. They're coming from things that we've learned, things that we've seen, and we want to help you. So the fastest path to learning, to growing, to becoming the best version of you is sometimes letting go of that pride. Sometimes it's the speed of the lesson from our parents, from someone else, instead of going out and learning it ourselves. So make that shift from ego to efficiency when you need to, right? And it takes being humble. It takes not being prideful. It takes listening in that way. And then the second thing is that we need to ask ourselves, do we need the experience or do we need the lesson, right? Sometimes we have to go through the pains, the difficulties. Sometimes we need to get scars, right? And those scars are going to stay and they're going to live with us forever. And we're going to have a lesson learned from that scar. But you don't have to have a scar to have learned a lesson, right? You can look at the scar that somebody else has in their life and learn a valuable lesson from it. But sometimes we choose the scar instead, right? So just ask yourself, what's the way that I need to learn this lesson? Because it makes a difference, right? And so we can learn a lesson from getting a scar ourselves, but we can also learn a lesson from seeing somebody else's scars. So, so to my daughter, just to kind of close up, right? You're allowed to learn the hard way. You really are. In fact, there's some lessons that I really, really, really want you to learn the hard way. But if somebody offers you the wisdom that they paid for through challenges and through experiences, through failure, at least listen to them, at least give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they've been through something, and we don't judge, maybe we don't discount their knowledge or their advice just because we haven't learned it ourselves. And if we can do that, then I think working with our parents, we come out in a much, much better place that can help them and help us. So anyway, I hope that helps you today. Parents, if you're willing, share this with your teenagers. share this with somebody else. But I hope that this little piece of advice helps you. And I'll leave you the same way. I always leave you. Go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.